Protection District. It's a pleasure to have you all with us, and we will move right into things. First, as always, I'll ask if there's anyone from the public who wishes to make a comment on a topic that is not on the agenda. So if anyone wishes to speak on a topic which we don't have agendized, please identify yourself.
Let's let John Holtzman in, please.
I am not seeing anyone that wishes to speak on a topic that is not on the agenda. And that will move us right into our first topic, which is a public hearing. And I will introduce the topic, and I will then ask if anyone from the public wishes to make a comment. This item is to introduce and waive the reading and possibly adopt Ordinance 2601, an ordinance of the Woodside Fire Protection District of San Mateo County, California, establishing a schedule of fees to be charged by the fire district. This is our periodic resetting of fees. And before we get into it, let me ask if any member of the public wishes to make a comment. I do not see anyone at this time. If somebody wishes to later, raise your hand and we'll figure it out. So with that, let's begin the discussion. I found this sort of interesting because after being here for a long time, whatever it's been now, we have adjusted these fees periodically and done our best, but we've never really taken a systematic look at them. And so I was excited to see a third-party analysis of what we were doing. And I guess I'll summarize, and if there's any corrections, anyone just jump in. But for those following along at home, what we did was we arrived at some fully burdened, fully loaded costs of each of the services we provide, line item by line item. And our third party was good enough to help us figure out what those really were and also do some competitive benchmarking, which showed what these fees were at other districts in the area. And after looking at that, my summary was that we were doing a lot of services and losing money on them. And our assumption, having been on the board, whatever it's been, 10 years, our assumption as board members in the past has been that we were breaking even on these sort of services. The intent is certainly not to make any money on them, but the intent wasn't to subsidize those inspections on our general budget. And what this analysis turned up was that we were effectively subsidizing a lot of different fees with areas that we probably could be using for fire prevention, for staffing, for something more direct. And that was not what we had intended in the past. So what we were presented with as the board was each one of our different fees, what it actually cost us, what we were charging, and then the recommendation has been that we should probably have a policy to formalize what we've been intending to do, if not doing, which was to have these services represent the cost of providing them, not overcharge, not undercharge. And so recommendation number one of the third-party analysis was that we set the new prices at what it costs us. Recommendation number two was that we formally adopt, a policy to have that be the case, so there's no confusion in the future. And three, that we look back at this every 5 to 7 years to make sure we're doing a good job and staying true. That was my sense of reading the report that was distributed, but I'm going to stop, ask if there was any clarifications, things I missed, or other, issues.
I would like to add, so in the staff report, I wanted to address all three of those recommendations. With our support of the first one was to implement a policy for the process. So that will be introduced and proposed at the June board meeting. So we'll have that prepared then. The other recommendation, which was they had recommended an annual fee increase. I didn't agree with that. It's not usually the generalized way of most jurisdictions of how they do it. It's easy to keep it because we do a code adoption year every 3 years at triannual with the code, was to keep that cycle in line with that code. So what I would be proposing in part of that policy was that we revisit every 3 years and see where we stand so we keep up with that code adoption year. And then the last recommendation was also is basically the same thing. Rather than doing a fee study every 5 to 7 years, was to keep it with the 3 years with the increase. That way they all fall together as one complete package. And that was the recommendation of how the district would like to proceed.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's fine with me. Randy, do you have another?
No, I don't think so. Some of the increases were not insignificant, so
Right.
It's either we've been way behind, which it sounds like we were. I'm not sure what the overall expected impact might have been, like, you know, we might do a lot of these services more frequently than some others, so is there, you know, is there some kind of estimation on what the
financial.
the financial impact would have been either in a negative or what it might, I guess, potentially increase by?
I think Matt summarized it well, and I'm not gonna say we were losing money. But we were certainly doing more services, less than the cost that we should have been for that full cost recovery of what it costs for staff, their benefits, time, all that. So that's what this study was to do, was to take all that into account and actually put forth fees of where we should be at for that cost recovery, but also in conjunction at looking at what other jurisdictions are also, what they're charging. As far as impact now that we're doing this, I think now we're gonna be where we should be, where we're not, obviously our revenue, we're not making money, but now we will actually be supporting what staff are doing with the services we're doing. We'll kind of be breaking, now we'll be at that real breaking even point. And as far as the fee study, with all those fees that are on there are a lot that we do a lot more, but I will say everything that's in the fee schedule, we do all of it. It's just some are more than others. You know, just a simple example, you know, solars, photovoltaic, doing those plan reviews and inspections, those are a ton we do every month.
Those are your most common. for
It
sure.
is by far the most common, like commercial sprinklers, that's not common at all. We don't have a lot of commercial here, so that's a rarity. So there are certain things that definitely more impactful than others.
I was also heartened that these new numbers paled in comparison to some of the other districts, which I will not name because I don't want to embarrass them. But that was helpful to see that data. I mean, and also it had some interesting just demographic data across the districts that they threw into the analysis, just showing us in terms of residents and in terms of kind of revenue and spending against the other districts.
And with the new fees that we are introducing, which in the coming months, I'm not sure if next month or the month after, we will be proposing to the board something that, a service that we'd like to add that we haven't offered in the past, but we needed this fee study to be completed first and adopt the schedule, is to be able to offer residents at a cost recovery rate, of course, is to offer them chipping services outside of chipping season or additional if they need them. And also fuel mitigation services where we can assist on their properties to do, you know, the simple like laddering their, you know, removing some of that ladder fuel, trimming up their trees, limbing them up, clearing some of that hazardous debris from their house, all that kind of stuff. So that's new services that we wanted to put forth because we really wanted to help and support with our ordinance, with the defensible space, having that fuel mitigation ordinance. We wanted to put a service in place that helps people and it gets them to comply without them being charged as much as they are with other companies, really is what it comes down to, but that we know how the services need to be done. We know what's in compliance. That's an art. It's what our staff are trained to do, our guys on the fuel mitigation crew. So we're happy to finally have that in this schedule. And in the coming months, we're going to propose the actual agreement to be able to offer that service to the board for
And
adoption.
would that be just utilization of our existing capacity?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We had an interesting discussion at the LEP meeting last week, and we were going through, you know, why aren't people participating in Chipper Day and so on like that? And a lot of the conclusion was, well, people already have gardeners and, you know, tree guys and all this kind of stuff, and they kind of take care of it routinely. It is expensive. So if this is something that we can offer and it's competitive or, you know, at even a better price, then that's something that we could really, I think, take advantage of. And especially with knowing, all right, this is what you need to do, right? As opposed to, you know, me telling my tree guy, hey, you know, why don't you take a few limbs off there? So I think that could be a useful thing for us.
It is,
too,
'cause
given that it's existing.
we know how it's supposed to be done, so it's in
Yes.
compliance with the ordinance. But the other thing that was actually driving this is we really wanted to help more of our senior population and people who are on fixed incomes. We wanted to be able to support, and you know, if they say, hey, can we have the district come out and help us do this? Yes, we can do that, but we also have volunteers in conjunction with the Young Men's Service League. So we're looking at a bigger picture of what we'd like to do over time, but we needed to get through these steps first in order to legally be able to do those things.
I think it's actually a really good thing at a few levels. First, there are a lot of people that just don't know what to do, or they're just don't know who to call and won't. But second, it's some more community engagement with our team and residents that isn't scary and it's actually helpful. And I do think folks do a great job. But weirdly, third, I never really wanted us to become like the world's largest gardener shop here,
Yeah.
but it may be a necessary evil to do what our vision really is. If we really expect this vegetation management strategy to work, we sort of do need this huge infrastructure of chippers and folks and skills and chainsaws that are sharpened. And if we're gonna have that, we might as well utilize it. And I'm sure that we're not, I don't know, but it would be good to keep everyone moving and the machines all moving once we have to have this expense and to recover the costs and get community engagement and vegetation management. I think it's kind of a win-win. I know I've been a little stuck before when I just couldn't figure out what to do with something and it just sat. So this is cool. Okay, are there any other comments, concerns, questions, discussion before we take a vote?
Just on the report did make the one point that we want to just be mindful of, we don't want to keep raising our fees to such a point where it actually discourages people from doing things that we do want them to do. So I think as we're going forward with it, just being mindful that our pricing is, it's still, I think, is going to be better than what people can get if they go to their gardeners and so on like that. But I think we just need to keep that in mind as we go.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, then I would entertain a motion on this topic.
I'd make a motion that we waive the reading and adopt ordinance 2601, an ordinance of the Woodside Fire Protection District of San Mateo County, California, establishing a schedule of fees to be charged by the fire district.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, motion has passed. And I got a blue pen.
Yeah.
Extra credit. Is that just you and me? or-
Yeah, just you and I.
Okay. That will conclude our section on the new fees. That moves us to the consent agenda. Is there any member of the public who wishes to make a comment on anything within the consent agenda before we move ahead? I do not see one. That would bring us to, does anyone wish to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I propose a motion to accept the consent agenda as published.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right. We have passed consent agenda. That brings us to the regular agenda items.
Nothing under there at this time.
And that's gonna bring us, this is nothing to comment upon. That'll bring us to staff reports. Lots of good stuff this week. In the training report, I was excited to see lots of folks moving through the process, and that's always a highlight. That sand table thing in the training picture was really incredible. I was amazed by that. And I don't really understand how it works, but I don't need to. But if that can help us visualize fire
It
behavior.
allows us to see very realistic simulations. So we can do different scenarios, we can prepare for them, we can put our strategies and tactics out there and see how that would be affected. We can run scenarios where we intervene, where we don't intervene, we see how fire behavior reacts to different weather patterns, all those things. And we can do it in a relaxed environment where the people can get together and feel free to shout out ideas and learn from each other. And so it's a really valuable tool.
Yeah, it looked like it was projecting an
Yep.
image over a physical form.
Yep.
And so you could sort of.
And you get all the geography, you get all the hills and chutes and all that stuff. So it's really cool.
I'm not sure we want to see what those simulations
Yeah.
necessarily look like
Yeah.
some of these days when the wind is blowing like this, but
So they're
Blown
important,
today.
a great tool for us to.
yeah, it looks incredible. And continued theme of the use of technology.
Yeah.
Same on the EMS report. I was excited to see those analytics about successful procedures and what works and what doesn't. Nobody imagined technology like that we could have access to in the past.
Yeah.
On the prevention side, I noted the beginning of chipper season. My date is June 1st. And I did see a lot of those inspections really kicking up on the property side. That's a lot of activity.
Big positive.
Yeah, that's a big amount of construction around here. On the operations side, I was excited to see all the new engines side by side. The B2 buggy looks even better in person than in the picture. The picture is kind of elongated, like you could have a family of 4 living in there. But it's not as big in person. It's easier to park in person. Randy and I were wondering whether one could sleep in the back of that. It's probably filled with useful stuff, but it would be a good fishing vehicle, I thought. But it looks awesome. And on the facilities and IT side, I was bummed to hear we have water leakage issues in a 2-year-old, 1-year-old building.
Yeah. So we're still working on that. We had some drilling where they put in a sealant. It seems to be working on the one section that would be the east wall. And then we just had one more small leak on the north wall. The only problem with that one is that it's right behind some of our electrical equipment.
Of course.
So
That's a good
we are,
place for a leak to be.
yes, exactly. So we're working on a couple options right now, and moving forward, I'll keep you informed as to what our final decision is, but it's just one small.
Is this warranty work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not gonna ask
Yeah,
any
no,
questions.
absolutely.
I've had bad luck with foundations
No,
on the East Coast. Everyone tells you you can patch them from the inside, and that like lasts about 3 weeks.
Right. Oh, hopefully this one.
So we'll have to do a French drain around this one. That would be amusing. Okay. Any other comments on staff reports or anything else? Okay, that brings us to fire chief's report.
All right. Well, for district, our 3 new hires have completed all their background requirements and their physicals, and they are officially on the onboarding process. So they have one more day of that, and then they start their shift work. So, yeah, we have 3 new laterals, and we're really excited to get them on there, and they're doing their training right now. So it's great. We received our new battalion chief apparatus. It's currently getting the final touches on the paint and all the graphics and things like that. It should be done relatively soon. It's right down in Redwood City, so not too far. Our fire engine, our new engine, we are hoping for the end of this week.
The type 1,
The type one. So we're hoping for the type 1 by the end of this week. Looking good on that. The type 3, we're looking at a couple weeks. There's an issue with the transfer case. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So we're still wrapping that up. It's been a little problematic, but we're working through it.
Don't want a bad transfer case.
We don't want a bad transfer case, and
That's kind of important.
and we're gonna make sure we stick to that. So for a brand new piece of apparatus, it needs to be.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So-
that can imagine the
Yeah.
work in that thing.
So we are hopeful that we're gonna get that within the next few weeks. So I'm hoping that it'll be here before our next meeting. We are putting on a South Zone Wildland Drill. Will be taking place in the first week of June. This will be held in the Los Trancos area, and it's gonna be a great opportunity not only for our members, but for our neighboring agencies to come up here and run through some wildland scenarios in a place that they're not necessarily familiar with. And it'll be good for the members of the community to get involved as well. And there's been a huge kind of outreach from that community up there in Los Trancos, and they're all very excited about it and getting the opportunity to train and do that. So there's gonna be scenario based. It'll start in a certain location. It'll make a run. It'll probably have some spot fires, et cetera, and things like that. So we'll be looking at everything from structure protection to fire suppression to tactical patrols and things like that. So it'll be a good drill. Our cadet program application just closed. We're gonna be holding interviews next week to establish a new group. We had 46 applicants that submitted, and we took the 24 most qualified. So we're gonna have a couple days of interviews for them as well. So we're excited about that. And in terms of deployments, we have not had any deployments yet. The state is starting to be busy, especially down south.
Yeah.
So to date in 2026, there's been 1,578 wildfires with 52,810 acres burned and 13 structures destroyed. So we're in fire season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in fire season. Something to be, very cognizant of, and we definitely are. So other than that, that's it.
Excellent. Chief, of the 24 cadets, the NRI program, how many do we expect to complete it?
We usually do 9.
Okay.
Yeah, we take usually 9, 3 per shift, yeah.
Good.
So we've had a great program, and our captains and Captain Akiyama, Captain Worley have really taken it to another level. We have a lot of our younger firefighter, paramedics and so forth too that are getting involved with it, which is great to see.
Yeah.
Because it truly is a great program for us for everybody. So, yeah.
Good.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I put some strain on the training.
Yeah.
Function, which a number of years ago that we were sort of concerned about for a time, but it seems
Yeah.
like we've gotten.
We've
to where
integrated,
we need
yeah,
to be.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Do we have any written communication?
We have several. So the first one here is from a resident, thanking our firefighters for National Firefighters Day and protecting our community and helping their family through some medical situations.
Excellent penmanship.
Yeah. The next one is from a community member who was writing on behalf of Selena Brown for the Safe Sitter program. Her kids went through that program, and she had just rave reviews about it, saying that Selena did a great job keeping the class or the group of kids engaged, and they really enjoyed it and they took something out of it. So that's always
Great
great.
person. My daughter did that like
Yeah,
15 years ago and did not lose one child.
he did not. Yeah, so Selena did not lose a single child.
No, we were the same number that she started with at the end.
She's doing an amazing job. Another one from a resident in Ladera who was thanking Selena for her presentation at the Firewise Fair, Thinking Like Fire. I don't know if anybody heard about that or anybody who was there, but nice letter for that, and she also did a great presentation and people were very pleased with it.
Very well received.
Yeah, very well
By
received.
the residents. I think because it touched more on a level for them to understand what the purpose of a lot of the programs that we're running. It was very well done.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. Another one is from the fire chief of the West Stanislaus County Fire Protection District, thanking us for making a donation of some of our older equipment. We were able to donate some fire hose, some nozzles, some saws, some rope rescue equipment to them. That's, outdated and we're replacing on our schedule. And he was very, very appreciative, saying it's gonna go to great use for their district, and wrote a very nice letter there, just thanking everybody for it, including obviously the board. So. And finally, we have one from another resident, thanking Dan Dempsey and Dominic for their help with chipper piles and for getting everything going and showing their appreciation for what we do with the fuel mitigation. So that crew is doing an amazing job. They're working really hard, and it's just a tremendous asset for us.
Boy, these guys have 620 square miles and a $1.8 million
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
Let's try that.
So the equipment was very well received.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's,
Yeah.
you guys know what that county is like. There's some trees.
Mhm.
Yeah, one or two. And that's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Alrighty, we have no closed agenda, so I am out of things to talk about, sadly, and far too short a meeting. It's been, seems like we just gathered.
We just got
And yet, it is my responsibility to adjourn the meeting so that you can all get home to your families. And I'll
everything.
just ask, is this 6 o'clock time working out okay for everyone? 'Cause if it's not, we can.
I think it's working out well for us, but it's more importantly, if it's working out for you.
Yeah, as long as I freaking remember it.
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't care what I do. The
Yeah.
goal is to get everyone here back to their families.
I think that we are enjoying having it. Yeah.
Then let's keep it up.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So
And we will see, you will not be here in July.
July.
So I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming online.
Thank you.
Thank you.